They're gonna kill us.
What?
He went dead.
Mom?
Out here, you're neither predator nor prey.
I need you to be brave.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Cinema Central, and welcome to my first annual Cine-Slash-a-thon. So every day in October, we're going to do a horror movie every day. I'm going to try to include some of the new releases that we got coming out, which obviously Terrifier 3 is going to be in there, and as well as also some non-horror movies like Joker Folie à Deux. I'm going to try to go check that out and then give you guys my thoughts on that. Really enjoyed the first one, so we'll just, from what I understand, there's some pretty divisive reactions to that movie. So we'll see. But yeah, it's gonna be a random horror movie every day, all throughout October. It could be, within a franchise. It could just be a standalone horror film. Anywhere from the most known horror films to some of the lesser known ones too. So you never know. It's a big surprise. It's gonna be a surprise every day. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you check them out. To kick things off with the month of October, it's gonna be a new release. It actually hit streaming today. I didn't get a chance to see it in the theater, but I am glad to have watched it today because I absolutely loved it, and that is Speak No Evil. This is the newest Blumhouse horror thriller that's I would classify as a home invasion horror, and so this stars James McAvoy, Scoot Maneri, and Mackenzie Davis. And so you have this couple that are on vacation in Europe, and they meet this other couple and decide to go spend the weekend with them. Unfortunately, things take a dark turn when they discover that this couple is not exactly who they claim to be. This is actually a remake of the 2022, I think, Danish version. I actually did watch that. I actually did watch the original before I saw this, obviously. I watched it like right when this movie was coming out, was being released. I was like, you know what? After seeing Cody Leach's review of Speak No Evil, he said that it's actually okay to watch the original because it probably wouldn't taint how you feel on the remake, and he was absolutely right, because I watched that original, and yeah, that was a shocking ending, and the ending in the new one, it's completely different. The entire third act is pretty much different, and so and I loved it. I loved the entire third act. That's probably one of the best parts of the movie. In regards to the new one, so this is a Blumhouse movie, and Blumhouse has had a string of horror movie stinkers this year, and so expectations for this I'm sure were initially pretty low, despite its great cast. And so when the reviews for the new one started popping up, I was like, wow, this actually could be the surprise of the year. And for me, after I saw it, definitely is. Definitely the best Blumhouse movie this year by far. And so let's just get into what I liked about it. First off, I mean, it's very suspenseful when characters aren't doing dumb things. And it's mainly suspenseful and kind of edge of your seat in the final act. The last 25-30 minutes, I absolutely loved. I love the whole movie, but that third act I really, really dug. Performance-wise, Mackenzie Davis, I thought she was very good. I love Mackenzie Davis. I loved her in Dark Fate. I loved her in Terminator Dark Fate. I loved her in Happiest Season with Kristen Stewart. I thought she was a badass in this movie. She comes off for most of the movie up until the third act. She does come off as kind of a bitch in a way, but for good reason. She's the smarter one of the couple, because she instantly has this. She always has this feeling that something is just not quite right with this couple, and so yeah, I loved her personality. I loved how she thought and everything. So. Also, and then of course James McAvoy. James McAvoy, he is fantastic in this movie. One of his best roles since, as far as a villain, from a villain standpoint, since Split. And so, really enjoyed it. I thought he pretty much stole the show. He is fantastic. You can tell that he got kind of beefed up for this role. And he just his charisma and his charm and just how he's able to just command the screen with his role, with his performance, I thought was awesome. Also, I got to give a shout out to Aisling, I think Franciosa, I think is her name, who plays his wife, and I thought she was really good too. Kiara, I thought she was great. And the kids, I like the kids. Alex West, who played Agnes, our protagonist couple's daughter. I thought she was good. My main criticisms is there's two things. One is the Scoot McNairy. Scoot McNairy, I'm not really familiar with most of his work, but here at his character, I didn't like his character. I really didn't. This guy has next to no balls whatsoever. Every time the situation comes up where they want to confront McAvoy's character and confront them, about what's going on and how things are just not, quite right and everything, and how McAvoy is treating his son. He doesn't speak up. It's always his wife doing all the talking and just having to stand up for him and everything, until it gets to a point where he does start to, but there's no redemption really there, because you still feel like he's, just got no balls. He's the bitch of the family, and so it's kind of how it's kind of talked down by his wife, and he lets her do it, and he lets this other couple, treat them that way. So yeah. And lastly, it's just, the characters making dumb decisions. There's several opportunities where this family could get away and not have to deal with that shit anymore. And, it's all comes down to, basically everybody, if you've seen it, it's all about the bunny. Having to go back and get that bunny. And that's the same case with the original, too, that came out in 2022. There's a bunny that causes them to go back to this family's house. And so, I'm just thinking to myself, I get it. I totally get it. I can actually relate to that, because, every child has a stuffed animal that they're emotionally attached to. When I was a kid, I had a stuffed elephant that I was emotionally attached to. I loved to the moon and back. Her name was called Betty Blue Eyes. And so there was one time when me and my family was on a road trip, and I lost her, and we had to go back and find her, and it was devastating. I was freaking out, I was crying and everything. It's a scary thing, when you lose lose something like that. That means a lot to you. And so, but I had it was a different situation. This wasn't another family, another couple that you were kind of creeped out by, that this causes you to go back to get it. It's a little different, but I get it. But still, there's multiple times where they could have gotten away, and it gets kind of frustrating when they constantly make some bad decisions that they could have gotten away and they wouldn't have to deal with it anymore. But you got to keep the movie going, and because of how great James McAvoy is, you're able to forget those kind of things, because you want to see more of him. You want to see him go crazy and go nuts. And when that third act starts and everything just goes to hell, it's fucking awesome, dude. I love that third act and just how everything goes down. And so, yeah, for Speak No Evil, for me, it's an 8.5 out of 10. I absolutely loved it. James McAvoy is great. As I said, Mackenzie Davis is great. Aisling Franciosa is great. And so it's very suspenseful. It's got some very intense moments, very intense, uncomfortable moments. There's one scene that I actually kind of liked, when McAvoy and McNairy are riding in the car, and they got the Bangles playing Eternal Flame, which also plays in the credits in the movie. And so McAvoy is just kind of like singing it while they're riding down the road, and then McNairy is sitting next to him, just kind of like, kind of uncomfortable. And it's a pretty awkward situation, because he's Like McAvoy was just kind of singing it and like singing it softly, you know. An internal flame, close your eyes, and so it's pretty uncomfortable. But yeah, overall, Speak No Evil, I loved it. 8.5 out of 10. And again, it's on streaming, and so yeah, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend checking it out. Definitely the best Blumhouse movie this year. That's just my thoughts on Speak No Evil. I hope you enjoyed this first episode of my first annual Cine Slash-a-thon. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you haven't already. Comment down below what did you think of Speak No Evil. Also, I'll have a playlist for all the October videos started with this one. So as well as my review for Afraid, which was the last Blumhouse movie that came out about a month or so ago. So I love you guys. You guys are the best, and I will see you next time.